So my ears keep perking up every time I hear a piece of information that seems to relate to the sun tunnel that I filmed that got my channel wiped out. What we're going to check out here it says President shows off his plans for his latest grandiose DC construction project. The Arch de Triomphe that you see an image of there in the middle. That's what it's going to look like. Here he's holding up a miniature version of it. And this is all going to lead into a video by Casey from Enter the Stars, which decodes, for lack of a better word, one of the, I want to say the series, but one of the episodes of the series Stargate, where they use solar flares to activate the Stargate. Every time they need a solar flare in order to activate and utilize the Stargate as their means of transportation in this episode of Stargate, which is exactly what the sun tunnel is. But first we're going to go and check out this a few minutes from Jonathan Kleck's video titled 3I-Atlas and the Serpent, this is the word playing out, where Space Labs speaks of the fact, I don't know if it's a fact, but it seems to be to them, that this 3I-Atlas is interacting with the sun, utilizing the sun, synchronizing up with it, resonating with it like a tuning fork is one of the words that it uses, like a cosmic handshake, using and even controlling the sun's output and solar flares like part of its transportation system.
When analyzed through electromagnetic, terrifying image, precise to be natural. The heat signature indicated concentrated energy sources deep inside the comet's structure. Then came the most terrifying image yet. From one of the comet's fractures, a burst of plasma erupted, shaped like a perfect spiral. When analyzed through electromagnetic imaging, the spiral's pattern matched frequencies NASA had previously recorded in deep space signals, signals believed to be of intelligent origin. Suddenly, this wasn't about a comet anymore. This was about a terrifying image yet. Suddenly, this wasn't about a comet anymore. This was about something else, something that was active, maybe even alive. The discovery was immediately classified. NASA's public report omitted several details, referring to it only as an anomalous internal activity. But a leaked image released through a private data channel spread online within hours. It showed what appeared to be a network of tunnels beneath 3I-Atlas, glowing like veins of energy. The public didn't know what to make of it. But within NASA, the fear was growing. Because shortly after the images were captured, the comet's trajectory changed. Not slightly, drastically. 3I-Atlas began to accelerate toward the inner solar system, heading directly toward the sun, altering its orbit in a way that no natural object could ever achieve. This wasn't gravity. This was control. And as it got closer to the sun, something even worse started to appear in the data. As 3I-Atlas approached the sun, telescopes all across the world turned their attention to it. The Webb, Hubble, SOHO, and the Parker Solar Probe. And what they found made every scientist go silent. The object wasn't burning up like a normal comet should. Instead, the heat seemed to energize it. Its outer shell began to glow brighter, and the pulsing light patterns inside the nucleus increased in frequency, from once every 7.3 minutes to every 45 seconds. It was almost as if the comet was charging itself. For a moment, the world believed it might disintegrate. But then 3I-Atlas did something completely impossible. It stopped accelerating and stabilized at a fixed distance from the sun, hovering in a perfect gravitational balance. That's a position no comet or asteroid has ever achieved. Even NASA's best simulations failed to explain how it remained stationary without being pulled into the sun's gravity. Then, the images from the Parker probe came in, and what they showed left scientists speechless. The comet was releasing material into space, but not randomly. It was forming a thin stream of plasma directed toward the sun's poles. NASA's instruments detected electromagnetic synchronization, meaning the object and the sun were resonating together like two tuning forks vibrating at the same frequency. Dr. Ramirez described it as a handshake between two cosmic systems. But what came next changed the tone from wonder to fear. As the plasma streams intensified, the sun's activity began to behave erratically. Massive solar flares erupted, larger than any recorded in the last 50 years. Auroras appeared across the poles of Earth and Mars, far brighter and more active than usual. The solar radiation spike forced several satellites into emergency hibernation mode. Then another image arrived. A full spectral scan of 3I-Atlas's core showed that the light pulses had changed frequency again, this time matching the energy pattern of the solar flares themselves. The comet wasn't just reacting to the sun, it was controlling it. NASA's analysis revealed something chilling. Every time 3I-Atlas emitted a pulse, the sun responded with a flare of equal strength and timing. For the first time ever, a celestial object appeared to be manipulating a star. The implications were terrifying. Was 3I-Atlas some kind of ancient machine designed to regulate stars? Or was it a living entity feeding on solar energy, a cosmic organism moving from star to star, consuming them? No one had the answer. But one final discovery made the situation even worse. While observing the object's rotation, Webb captured something emerging from its surface, a small fragment that detached and began moving independently, following a perfectly calculated path toward Earth's orbit. NASA's Deep Space Network detected faint radio bursts coming from it, structured, mathematical, and repeating. They decoded the pattern, and what it revealed was both terrifying and unexplainable. A direct reference to Earth's magnetic signature. Whatever 3I-Atlas is, it knows we're here. And if it's truly capable of controlling stars, feeding on solar energy, or sending probes toward Earth, humanity may have just discovered something far beyond our ability to understand or contain. As of now, NASA has gone silent. No new data has been released for days, but independent observatories continue to track the object's movements, and reports indicate that the smaller fragment is still approaching Earth's vicinity, maintaining perfect speed and direction. Every telescope is watching, every nation is listening, and everyone in NASA knows one terrifying truth. What the latest 3I-Atlas images show isn't just worse than we thought, it's only the beginning.
All right, so let's take a moment
on some stuff. So
Yes, let's take a moment and notice that it says Space Labs. Up there in that upper corner, you'll be able to see it better here in just a second. There we go. Space Lab. Is this the same Space Labs from Boulder, Colorado, featured in my previous Sun Tunnel videos, that the Grandmaster of the Order of the Knights Templar worked at on the ACE satellite, Advanced Composition Explorer satellite, that looked directly at the sun 24/7 and saw UFOs coming out of it on a regular basis, routinely? I don't know, but it might be same Space Lab. Now I'm going to show you a few excerpts from a video by Enter the Stars where he is reviewing a video that he made 5 years previously in 2020. So if you hear him referencing the C-19 as if it's going on right now, that's because he's reviewing one of his older videos from 5 years ago. I'll include the links in the description to the Jonathan Kleck video, which I've used an excerpt from, and to this video from Enter the Stars titled Trump's Arc de Trump Time Traveled, where he covers an episode of Stargate, and in this episode of Stargate, they utilize the power of the sun to power up the Stargate. It's their means of transportation. And also in this, he touches on the sun worshipping Ra, the sun god. And so when we're watching this, listen, for the sun being used, all of the sun gods, Christianity is just another version of all of the previous sun gods that had the same story. It is cloaked sun worship. And it's touching on not only the previous sun gods that are still worshipped secretly, it's also touching on the reason for all of these sun-worshipping religions, because the sun is the doorway in and out of this world. So let's listen to a couple of clips from his video. I think it was it's an hour and 40 minutes long. He doesn't usually do long ones like that, so I'll just clip a few minutes out of it and leave the link in the description.
Stargate. Make this bigger. Now, this is all about an ancient Egyptian ring, giant ring, which is a Stargate. It was found in Egypt near Ra's tomb, right? Ra is the sun god. And later they find a way to manipulate this thing and make it work with power, but it needs like a lot of power. And what they figure out that they can do is jump through time, not time, but space. First, they jump through space. They figure that out. And this event horizon opens. Looks like a puddle of water splashing and they can walk right through into these other universes. So you can call Ra the original Lord of the Ring, right? He was the first Lord of the Ring. So then this secret government, U.S. government program figures out a way to type in the gate addresses, which we just talked about a little bit ago, and they can go to these other worlds. So they did an entire series on this where this team of military people walk through this gate and they can go to all these different worlds, right? And they discover all these different worlds, and they talk about the moral dilemmas surrounding this, and should they be changing these people's experience and their development? And they agree that they should have as minimal of impact as possible, but they do intervene. Now, in the beginning of the series, they can only really travel within their own timeline, but eventually they figure out a way to travel backwards and forwards in time. The way that they do this is through the sun's solar activity, or the CORONA. Are you starting to see how all of this centers around sun worship? Ra, the sun god, the CRONA, which opens up the time component to the gate system. And this brings us to 19 years ago, right? CV 19. And this one was in 1999, which of course is 666, but the episode is called 1969. That's the year of the moon landing. It's important to note this because here we are full circle again from the moon landing. What is Trump talking about? The Apollo missions. Artemis, the sister of Apollo. Okay? Watch.
It's a coronal mass emission, like a giant solar flare.
But it's safe, right? I distinctly remember sitting here listening to Carter prattle on about solar activity and a corona, something.
Right? I mean, is that weird or what? Now, this is Colonel O'Neill, and his whole personality is he's really savvy, but he's not all that book smart, but he always says profound things that make sense. So you just heard him, right? He can't remember the rest of it, but he specifically says the word of exactly what we're going through right now. And Colonel is Corona too, Colonel O'Neill. They need this solar flare to go through the wormhole. Now this is the eclipse, and what better day to choose than the day after, or the very close to the birthday of Apollo, the sun god, as well as Sol Invictus, as well as Dionysus. They were all born on December 25th. So that's the day they picked.
So you just heard Casey here reference at least 3 different sun gods that were all born on December 25th. The same sun god story as Jesus. And defenders of their ideas of the story of Christianity will say, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. No. It said in the book that the olive leaves were coming out of the trees, so he must have been born sometime in the spring. We celebrate his birth on December 25th. There's about 50 different points of reference that square up with all of these other sun gods. I was watching a video by Casey where he was reading directly from the book of Og, King Og. And he was comparing King Og. And he was comparing it to the words of the Bible where they are word for word plagiarism. For a few sentences, not just a word here and a word there, like 3 or 4 sentences strung together, word for word identical in the Bible as is in the book of Og, O-G. And he acknowledged the book of Og was written like a couple thousand years before the Bible. But that they were plagiarizing the Bible that was yet to come in the future. That the devil knows the great, true, one and only true word and the one and only true religion of Christianity and the King James III version of the Bible would come at some time in the future. So throughout the past, he plagiarized the Bible through a retrocausality, where he placed these books and religions and cultures all throughout history in order to mimic and replicate the story of Jesus, in order to get us to question our faith right here and now when we discover that the story of Jesus has been repeated over and over and over in all of these sun-worshipping religions and these sun gods. That's the level of mental gymnastics to twist your brain into a pretzel and completely turn all of reality on its head. The sequence of time and cause and effect are suddenly reversed and no longer relevant to your logical thought processes. And instead of acknowledging that the Bible plagiarized all of these previous texts and religions and has the same story that it copied from them, no, they copied the Bible in the past because they knew that the Bible would be coming in the future, which is our present, in order to get us to question our faith. Christianity is cloaked sun god worship, and we are at the transition phase. We are the generation that comes to realize and acknowledge this. Those that worshipped the packaging and the wrapper of Christianity, the surface story, which conditioned them to stand in opposition to all those pagan sun worshippers, they're going to just have to die, clinging to their beliefs, unwilling to accept that we've now opened up the package, took the wrapper off, and inside that package of this Christian story is the story of the sun god. The same sun god that was worshipped in all of these religions worldwide throughout all of history. I'll talk more about this at a future video. I just wanted to bring your attention to that he just named 3 of those sun gods that were all born December 25th. And people like to split hairs. They're like, well, Jesus wasn't born December 25th. That's just the day we celebrate his birthday. So are you saying that Christianity is not cloaked sun god worship? What about the other 50 points that match up parallel? What about the word-for-word plagiarism with the Book of Og? And I already got the comment on the last video I put up. Someone says, Jesus didn't say the only way to the Father is through the Son. He said the only way is through me. Yeah, and me, him as a person, represents the Son. They want to split hairs to cling to their preconceived ideas. Their ego and their pride and their vanity disallows them from recognizing the truth that they have carried throughout the generations, passing it forward through the timeline into a place where we could actually open the package up and find what's inside. The same sun god that was outlawed and eradicated and exterminated through an inquisition where they would try to get rid of the truth about the sun god, so it had to be packaged in this symbolic metaphor, analogies, and allegories, and they managed to do it. They got the story to us here in the present. That was the purpose of Christianity, was to carry forward the truth about that sun god. And people who want to cling to their preconceived ideas, they're just going to have to die with the old generation. We are in the generation of transition where we discover the truth of what was inside the package of Christianity the whole time. And the next generation will have no problem accepting that Christianity was a vessel, a conduit, a vector by which the story of the sun gods of the past made its way to the present. Thank you, those of you who worship the wrapper and the package and refuse to accept the contents within that package, for doing what was necessary throughout the generations and being willing to live for and die for that story that you insist is the one and only true story, because it did the trick and it got the truth here to us in this current generation. If you're unwilling to accept the contents of the package that you were a courier of and delivered to the future, that's fine. You did your job. Thank you for your service.
Now, these Archons were also involved in Mithraism, and we exposed that. Mithra and belief in the 7 planets and having to ascend through the 7 planets. This is where the whole chakra thing comes from. Ascension through the chakras. It all goes back to Mithraism, which emerged just after. Well, it came around before Christ, but it didn't have all of the beliefs of the Christ story until after Christ was born. And they tried to hijack the Christ story and attribute Mithraism to Christianity. And that's why so many people are confused. They think that Mithraism predated in its form Christianity and the birth of Christ, but it actually did not. It was a different belief system, and then they hijacked Christ's story as their own, is what happened. And from Mithra is where we get the Statue of Liberty, we get Helios, we get Sol, Invictus. Statue of Liberty is S-O-L, Sol. And Helios, we see the statue of Helios, which looks just like the Statue of Liberty. I think this is it here. There it is right there. Thanks to the subscribe.
Now, back to 2025 here. And Trump's arch in 2025 is going to be topped with Lady Liberty. Mithra confirmed. 5 years ago, predicted on this channel. Let's keep watching here, you guys.
So what Casey's doing here is covering a video that he made 5 years ago regarding some of these things in reference to the new Arch de Triomphe that's going to be built. You saw him twist his brain into a pretzel saying, well, yeah, technically Mithra it did predate Christ, but then afterwards they changed Mithraism to match Christ because it's almost the same story, but there was some differences. There was a few slight differences between the two stories, and then Mithraism, which predated Christianity, then tried to match Christianity by changing their belief system. And he has to do this for about 25 other sun gods and say all of those religions all throughout history were trying to copy and replicate and plagiarize Christianity that would come in the future. In order that he doesn't have to acknowledge Christianity plagiarized all of those previous religions and allow the time-space continuum to remain as it always has, with cause and effect not being turned upside down and reversing the flow of time in some sort of mental gymnastics where you apply a retrocausal reality to things and dismiss all of these other religions and cultures all throughout history. They were all just placed there to deceive you, the one person with the only true infallible word of God here in the King James III version. And we don't worship the sun, we worship the Son of God. Unbelievable. The lengths that these people will go to avoid accepting the truth that is blatantly right in front of all of us. That Christianity is the story of the sun god cloaked in allegories and symbols that aren't hard to decipher. It's all blatantly obvious. Once you have your attention brought to this, there's about 25 other gods with the same story. It's undeniable, other than to someone who's so deeply in a delusional state that they will maintain their denial till the day of their death and turn themselves inside out in order to avoid accepting the truth. And what does that mean? That means the adversary spirit moves through them, not the spirit of truth. The adversarial spirit that does anything to mislead people away from the truth, which at this point is obvious. It is blatant, it's glaringly obvious. Christianity is the same story as all the sun gods. But they don't have the spirit of truth within them, and they'll do anything to try to cover it up, deny it, deflect it, twist it, do anything but accept it and allow others to perceive it as well.
From Mithra is where we get the Statue of Liberty, we get Helios, we get Sol, Invictus. Statue of Liberty is S-O-L, Sol. And Helios, we see the statue of Helios, which looks just like the Statue of Liberty. I think this is it here. There it is right there. Thanks to the subscribe.
Now, back to 2025 here. And Trump's arch in 2025 is going to be topped with Lady Liberty. Mithra confirmed. 5 years ago, predicted on this channel. Let's keep watching here, you guys. Unbelievable.
Subscriber who sent this to me. Okay. That's the inspiration for the Statue of Liberty. Look, the robe, the torch, the head. This is a man. This is Helios, or God. Right here. It says right here. Helios, the sun god.
What? Wait.
That's what the Statue of Liberty...
Look at the date. That's Trump's birthday. The eve of Trump's birthday, 2016, is when this image of Helios was uploaded. Wow.
Really is. That's what the people really worship, not the one true God. They worship the false God. Okay? And no politician that I know has ever called this out. So if you got a politician believing in the Statue of Liberty and Lady Liberty and all this, they're still a false prophet. They're still a false politician. You going with this?
And it is that finger pointing. They worship the false God, not the one true God, that prevents them from being able to see that they worship the same God as those who they've been pointing the finger at, and condemning and demonizing. And it is their own accuser within them that prevents them from acknowledging you are those very sun-worshipping people that you condemn and look down upon. Condemnation prior to investigation is the height of arrogance and ignorance and perpetuates it for eternity.
My fellow Americans.
Whoa, anti-cancer. So, they're claiming now with Stargate AI, we're back in 2025 now. They're claiming with Stargate AI, Larry Ellison came out and said that we are going to use AI to cure cancer. So here we are, another time loop. It doesn't
Tell somebody.
A number of years ago, a freak accident sent us back to 1969. We know that by dialing coordinates that are precisely on the opposite side of the sun at the exact moment of a solar flare, it creates a time distortion. It causes the wormhole to turn back towards Earth on itself. Now, theoretically.
What she just said is exactly the same as the Grandmaster of the Order of the Knights Templar who worked at Space Labs on the ACE satellite, Advanced Composition Explorer, who would monitor the sun and see UFOs coming in and out of it on a regular basis. He also said that every time there's a solar flare coming out of this side of the sun, simultaneously there's one coming out the backside of the sun, so theoretically the sun might be the event horizon like a small black hole within our sun. Listen one more time closely. I don't know if that was a recording, so I'm going to repeat what I just said. What she says here in this episode of Stargate is exactly the same thing that the Grandmaster of the Order of the Knights Templar spoke of, who worked at the Space Labs in Boulder, Colorado on the top secret Advanced Composition Explorer ACE satellite at the time when it was top secret. And he said that not only do they witness UFOs coming and going to and fro through the sun on a regular basis, but that every time that there is a solar flare coming out one side of the sun, there is simultaneously a solar flare going out the other side, the exact opposite side, and thus that the sun could be an event horizon for a small black hole in the middle of the sun, and that beings are using it like a wormhole. Listen closely to what she says, and then we'll go listen to the exact same words that he said, but he is speaking from experience.
Somebody.
A number of years ago, a freak accident sent us back to 1969. We know that by dialing coordinates that are precisely on the opposite side of the sun at the exact moment of a solar flare, it creates a time distortion. It causes the wormhole to turn back towards Earth on itself. Now, theoretically, we could send ourselves a message. That are precisely on the opposite side of the sun at the exact moment of a solar flare, it creates a time distortion. It causes the wormhole to turn back towards Earth on itself. Now, theoretically, we could send ourselves a message. Look right here. My calculations are correct. There should be a flare in about 5 seconds.
That's it.
All we need is for the computer to predict another flare. We have a flare prediction 57 minutes from now.
So the CRONA enables the portal to open, kind of like what's happening now. Whatever it is the CRONA is, it's through our obedience to it, it's opening the bottomless pit or some kind of portal, some kind of time portal, some type. It's going to allow all these things through a gate. Are you starting to see what's happening now?
57 minutes from
back in 2025, and we absolutely now understand that the world changed forever after COVID. It's changed forever. Nothing.
So we have to wonder why. Why are they coming out of the sun? What are they doing? Where are they coming from? Are they plasma beings that just live in the sun? Or are they actual craft from another part of the galaxy or the other part of the universe that are entering through wormholes? And one of them just happens to come out of our sun. By that logic, there's a theory that there's a small black hole in the center of the sun. And this may be why when we see solar flares coming out of one side of the sun, we also see them coming out of the opposite side, which is almost like an event horizon, right? Which does suggest that there could be a small black hole in the center of our sun, and that is being used as a wormhole for craft of other civilizations out in the universe to be coming through, and why they're here, is anyone's guess. But it's my opinion, and this isn't a personal opinion.
So you're the Grandmaster of the Templar Order. At least right now, we know there's, if you look online, there's
lineages,
there's about 500 different Templar orders around. I myself am part of SMOTJ and Sovereign Military Order of the Temple of Jerusalem, which is another Templar order, mostly charity based, helping kids and stuff in the Holy Land. But can you talk a little bit about your particular lineage and why that's important, how it got founded?
Sure. So. Ground. I also used to work for the Space Labs up in Boulder, Colorado, which is still up there. It's in the Department of Commerce building, of all things, which has this huge underground network. But part of what the Space Labs do is they work on different projects. And the one I used to work on, which was on at the time, it was a classified satellite known as the Advanced Composition Explorer, or the ACE satellite. You can go online and find this satellite to this day. What it does is it gives real-time solar weather updates. We have a satellite at an area known as the L1 point, where the gravity of the Earth and the gravity of the sun is equal, and it just looks at the sun constantly. And with different cameras and different sensors to detect what's coming out of the sun.
Solar flares and such.
Solar flares and such, yeah.
What did the satellite pick up?
Well, it picks up these solar flares that's coming out of the sun, but one of the other things we also noticed regularly was that there was UFOs or UAPs coming out of the sun. And so we have to wonder why. Why are they coming out of the sun? What are they doing? Where are they coming from? Are they plasma beings that just live in the sun? Or are they actual craft from another part of the galaxy or another part of the universe that are entering through wormholes, and one of them just happens to come out of our sun? By that logic, there is a theory that there's a small black hole in the center of the sun. And this may be why when we see solar flares coming out of one side of the sun, we also see them coming out of the opposite side, which is almost like an event horizon, right? Which does suggest that there could be a small black hole in the center of our sun, and that is being used as a wormhole for craft of other civilizations out in the universe to be coming through, and why they're here, is anyone's guess. But it's my opinion, and this isn't a personal opinion.
So that was the first 2.5 minutes of a video that I titled Sun Tunnel Stargate Confirmed by Space Labs Grandmaster of the Templar Order on this channel called Brothers of the Arcana podcast. And Timothy Hogan is the guest they had on that day, who was speaking of his experiences regarding the ACE satellite. Link will be in the description. That video's a half hour long. You can see the depiction right here on the front. Has a UFO right here, center screen. And all the Egyptians, those sun-worshipping guys, looking at the UFO. Link will be in the description. You can watch the rest of that. Sun Tunnel Stargate confirmed by Space Labs and the Grandmaster of the Knights Templar. Both these guys that run the Brothers of the Arcana podcast are self-admittedly Freemasons. Lose your ideas about what you think you know. Soft-minded people taking a hardline stance on things they don't understand are our biggest obstacle in making this transition as we walk between worlds.